Elon Musk, the man who dreams of colonizing Mars, broke down in tears. Tears streamed down his face, a rare sight for the usually composed entrepreneur. His voice choked with emotion, struggling to find the right words. He was known for his unwavering optimism, his relentless drive to push boundaries. But the closure of the US border had broken something deep within him. This was not just about policy. This was deeply personal. Musk, a man who embodied the American spirit of innovation and ambition, was now a picture of despair and sorrow. His tears were a stark reminder of the human cost of this policy change. They were a symbol of the fear and uncertainty gripping the entire nation. The closure had shaken the very foundations of American identity and unity. The image of Musk's breakdown sent shockwaves across the world, resonating deeply. It was a stark contrast to his usual composure and confidence. Here was a man who had stared down failure countless times, who had defied expectations, and pushed the boundaries of human achievement. Yet the border closure had reduced him to tears, showing his vulnerability. It underlined the magnitude of the situation, its profound impact on even the most resilient among us. The closure of the US border had immediate and far-reaching consequences, affecting every facet of life. Businesses reliant on global supply chains ground to a halt, unable to receive the materials and components they needed to operate. Families were torn apart, separated by newly erected barriers that seemed insurmountable. The economic engine of the nation sputtered, starved of the fuel of global trade and immigration, leading to widespread financial instability. The impact was felt most acutely in border towns, where cross-border commerce was a lifeline. These communities, once vibrant hubs of cultural exchange and economic activity, were now ghost towns, their streets eerily silent. The closure had choked the life out of them, leaving behind economic despair and simmering resentment among the residents. The closure had also exposed deep divisions within American society, highlighting the stark contrast in public opinion. On one side were those who applauded the move, seeing it as a necessary step to protect American jobs and national security. On the other side were those who condemned it as a xenophobic, self-defeating act that betrayed the nation's fundamental values of openness and inclusivity. The border closure was a watershed moment in American history, a decision that would be remembered for its profound impact. It had forced the nation to confront uncomfortable truths about its identity, its values, and its place in the world. The debate raged on, a stark reflection of a nation struggling to define itself in an increasingly interconnected world, grappling with the balance between security and openness. The border closure ignited a fierce nationwide debate, sparking conversations and arguments in every corner of the country. It became a lightning rod for deeply held beliefs about national identity, economic security, and humanitarian obligations, bringing these issues to the forefront of public discourse. The debate played out on television screens and in living rooms across the country, with families and friends passionately discussing the implications. Proponents of the closure argued that it was essential for national security, emphasizing the need to protect the nation from external threats. They pointed to the need to control the flow of goods and people across the border, to prevent the entry of potential threats, and to ensure the safety of the nation. Others argued that it was necessary to protect American jobs, claiming that the influx of immigrants was driving down wages and taking away opportunities from American workers. Opponents of the closure countered that it was a betrayal of American values, a move that went against the very principles the country was founded upon. They argued that the United States had always been a nation of immigrants, a beacon of hope and opportunity for people from all over the world, and that closing the border was antithetical to this legacy. They pointed out that immigrants made significant contributions to the economy and enriched the nation's cultural fabric, bringing diversity and innovation. The debate over the border closure was not just about policy, it was a deeply emotional and philosophical battle. It was about the soul of America, about what kind of country it wanted to be. It was about what it meant to be American in an increasingly interconnected and interdependent world, and how to balance security with humanity in a complex global landscape. The economic costs of the border closure were staggering, affecting every sector of the economy. Supply chains were disrupted, leading to shortages of essential goods from food to medical supplies. Businesses, both large and small, struggled to cope with the sudden halt in cross-border trade, leading to widespread closures and layoffs. The stock market plunged as investors panicked, wiping out billions in wealth and causing financial instability. The human costs were even more profound, affecting the lives of countless individuals. Families were separated, their lives thrown into turmoil, unable to reunite with loved ones. Students were unable to return to their universities, disrupting their education and future plans. Patients seeking medical treatment were turned away at the border, unable to access critical care. The closure had created a humanitarian crisis, tearing at the very fabric of society and leaving many in distress. Stories of hardship and despair emerged from every corner of the nation, highlighting the widespread impact. A young couple, separated by the closure, was forced to postpone their wedding indefinitely, adding to their emotional burden. An elderly woman, denied access to life-saving medication available only across the border, faced a dire situation. These were not just statistics, they were real people with real stories. They were real people living with the devastating consequences of a policy that had prioritized isolation over compassion, leaving them in distress. The border closure had come at a steep price, affecting both the economy and the social fabric of the nation. It had not only damaged the economy, but had also eroded the nation's standing in the world, affecting international relations. It had undermined the very values of openness, tolerance, and compassion that had once defined America, leading to widespread calls for change. The closure of the U.S. border sent shockwaves around the globe, triggering a cascade of unforeseen consequences. International trade routes were disrupted, leading to a ripple effect that affected economies far beyond America's shores. Countries that relied heavily on exports to the U.S. found themselves grappling with sudden economic downturns, their industries in turmoil. Pause 3S. In Europe, manufacturers faced unprecedented delays as supply chains faltered, leading to production halts and job losses. In Asia, the tech industry, heavily dependent on U.S. markets, saw a sharp decline in demand, causing a ripple of layoffs and economic instability. The interconnected nature of the global economy meant that no nation was immune to the impacts of the border closure. Pause 3S. Beyond the economic sphere, the humanitarian consequences were equally severe. Refugees and asylum seekers, looking to the U.S. for safety and a new beginning, found themselves stranded, their hopes dashed. International students who had come to America with dreams of a better future faced uncertainty and despair as their plans were put on indefinite hold. Pause 3S. The closure also strained diplomatic relations as allies and partners expressed concern over the U.S.'s isolationist stance. Long-standing alliances were tested, and the global perception of America as a beacon of hope and opportunity began to wane. The border policy had not only affected the nation's economy and social fabric, but it also reshaped its role on the world stage. Pause 3S. As the world reeled from the consequences, the call for a reassessment of border policies grew louder. Advocates and leaders from around the globe urged the U.S. to reconsider its approach, emphasizing the need for balance between security and humanity. The global ripple effect of the U.S. border closure had highlighted the interconnectedness of nations and the shared responsibility to uphold the values of compassion and cooperation. Pause 3S. The story of the U.S. border closure was not just a national issue, it was a global one. It served as a stark reminder of the far-reaching impacts of policies and the importance of considering their broader implications. In an increasingly interconnected world, the decisions of one nation could reverberate across the globe, affecting millions of lives and shaping the course of history. Pause 3S. As the narrative unfolded, it became clear that the path forward required not just policy changes but a renewed commitment to the principles of empathy, unity, and global solidarity. The lessons learned would serve as a blueprint for building a more resilient and compassionate world, where the well-being of all individuals was prioritized over isolation and division. Pause 3S. The global ripple effect of the U.S. border policies had left an indelible mark on the world, but it also presented an opportunity for growth and transformation. It was a chance to redefine the values that guided nations and to build a future that embraced openness, tolerance, and shared humanity. Amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, the voices of those directly affected by the U.S. border closure began to emerge, telling their stories of resilience and hope. From families separated by the border to individuals seeking refuge and a better life, their experiences shed light on the human side of the policy. Pause 3S. Maria, a mother of two, had dreamed of reuniting with her husband in the U.S. With the border closed, her family remained divided, but her determination to keep hope alive never wavered. "We will be together again," she said, her voice filled with unwavering resolve. Pause 3s. In a makeshift shelter near the border, Ahmed, a young asylum seeker, shared his story of escape from violence and persecution. "I came here for safety and a chance to build a future," he explained. Despite the challenges, his eyes shone with a quiet strength, a testament to his enduring spirit. Pause 3s. International students like Li Wei, who had come to the US with dreams of education and opportunity, found themselves in limbo. "I still believe in the American dream," she said, her voice tinged with both sadness and hope. "I just need a chance to prove myself." Pause 3s. These voices and countless others highlighted the shared humanity that transcended borders. They reminded the world that behind every policy were real people with dreams, aspirations, and the desire for a better life. Pause 3s. As these stories spread, they sparked a global conversation about the need for compassion and understanding in border policies. Advocates rallied for change, emphasizing that security should not come at the expense of humanity. Pause 3s. The voices from the border served as a powerful reminder that empathy and resilience could pave the way for a more inclusive and compassionate world. Their stories were a call to action, urging leaders and citizens alike to reconsider the impact of their decisions and to prioritize the well-being of all individuals. Pause 3s. In the end, it was these voices that would drive the change needed to build a future where borders did not divide but united people in their shared humanity. The journey was far from over, but the seeds of hope and resilience had been sown, promising a brighter tomorrow for all. As the voices from the border grew louder, they became impossible to ignore. Policymakers, activists, and ordinary citizens began to take notice, spurring a wave of discussions and debates about the future of U.S. border policies. Pause 3s. In response to the mounting pressure, lawmakers introduced new proposals aimed at balancing security with humanity. These policy changes included more humane treatment of asylum seekers, expedited family reunifications, and increased funding for border communities. Pause 3s. One significant development was the introduction of a bipartisan bill that sought to create a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who had been living and contributing to the U.S. for years. Pause 3s. "This is a step in the right direction," said Senator Jane Doe, one of the bill's co-sponsors. "We need to ensure that our policies reflect our values of compassion and justice." Pause 3s. These changes were met with both hope and skepticism. While many celebrated the progress, others remained cautious, aware that true change would require sustained effort and vigilance. Pause 3s. On the ground, organizations working with migrants and refugees continued their tireless efforts, providing legal assistance, medical care, and educational opportunities. Their work was crucial in bridging the gap between policy and practice. Pause 3s. As the global conversation continued, other countries looked to the U.S. as a potential model for their own border policies. The international community recognized that the challenges faced by one nation could have far-reaching implications for all. Pause 3s. The future of U.S. border policies was still uncertain, but the seeds of change had been planted. With continued advocacy and a commitment to empathy, there was hope that a more just and compassionate system could emerge. Pause 3s. The journey ahead was long, but the voices from the border had sparked a movement that could not be silenced. Together, they were shaping a future where borders did not divide but united people in their shared humanity. Pause 3s. The promise of a brighter tomorrow was within reach, and it was up to all of us to ensure that it became a reality. Pause 3s. The story of the border is not just a tale of policies and politics, it is a deeply human narrative that calls for our collective action. Pause 3s. As we reflect on the changes and challenges, it becomes clear that each of us has a role to play in shaping a more compassionate future. Pause 3s. Activists and organizations on the front lines need our support, whether through donations, volunteering, or simply spreading awareness. Pause 3s. Every voice matters in this fight for justice and humanity. Pause 3s. The power of change lies not just in the hands of lawmakers but in the hearts of ordinary people who refuse to stand idly by. Pause 3s. As we witness the struggles and triumphs at the border, we are reminded of our shared humanity and the moral imperative to act. Pause 3s. Now is the time to get involved, to lend our voices and our resources to those in need. Pause 3s. Visit organizations working tirelessly to support migrants and refugees and learn how you can make a difference. Pause 3s. Engage in conversations with your community about the importance of humane border policies. Pause 3s. advocate for change by contacting your representatives and urging them to support compassionate legislation. Pause 3S. Together we can build a future where borders do not divide us but unite us in our shared pursuit of justice and dignity. Pause 3S. The journey is long, but with determination and solidarity we can turn the tide. Pause 3S. Let us answer this call to action and stand up for the values that define us as a global community. Pause 3S. The time for change is now. Pause 3S. Will you join us? Pause 3S. While policies and politics capture headlines, the true cost of border closures is borne by families. Pause 3S. Imagine the pain of parents separated from their children, the anguish of loved ones torn apart by invisible lines. Pause 3S. These are not just statistics, they are real people with dreams and hopes now shattered. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A mother holding a photo of her child. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A father weeping at the border fence. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. The emotional toll is immeasurable. Pause 3S. Families who once shared laughter now face sleepless nights filled with worry and fear. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A child drawing a picture of their family. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A reunion at the border filled with tears. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. The trauma inflicted on children is particularly heart-wrenching. Pause 3S. Many are left to wonder why their parents are no longer with them, questioning their safety and their future. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A deserted playground. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. Children playing behind a fence looking longingly towards the other side. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. These children carry scars that may never fully heal, affecting their mental and emotional well-being for years to come. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A letter written by a child to their parent. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A mother reading a letter, tears streaming down her face. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. For many families, the separation is indefinite, leaving them in a limbo of uncertainty and despair. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A family photo torn in half. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A candlelight vigil at the border. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Despite the heartache, these families continue to hope for a reunion, to dream of a day when they can be together again. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A group of families holding hands in solidarity. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A community rallying for family reunification. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Their resilience is a testament to the enduring power of love and the unbreakable bonds of family. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A child drawing a heart around their family photo. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. Families embracing at a border crossing, tears of joy and relief. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. As we advocate for change, let us not forget the human faces behind the policies. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A family holding a sign that reads, "Reunite us." Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. Activists marching for family reunification. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Our actions today can help heal these broken bonds and restore hope to countless families. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A child holding a sign that reads, "Bring my mommy back." Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. A father and daughter hugging tightly at the border. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Let us stand together, united in our commitment to justice, and make family reunification a reality. Pause 3S. The time to act is now. Pause 3S. As we navigate these challenging times, it is crucial to look ahead and envision a better future. Pause 3S. A future where families are no longer torn apart by borders but are united in love and hope. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A sunrise over a peaceful landscape. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. People from diverse backgrounds joining hands. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. The path forward is not easy, but it is necessary. Pause 3S. It requires empathy, compassion, and a commitment to justice. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A group of activists holding signs for change. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. Lawmakers discussing border policies. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Policy reforms must prioritize human dignity and the sanctity of family. Pause 3S. We must advocate for laws that protect the vulnerable and offer pathways to reunification. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Image. A family holding a sign that reads, "Families belong together." Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Video. Community leaders speaking at a rally. Pause 3S. Pause 3S. Communities play a vital role in this journey. Pause 3S. By coming together, we can create support networks for affected families and amplify their voices. Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, volunteers distributing food at the border, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a community meeting to discuss border issues, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, grassroots movements have the power to drive significant change, Pause 3S, through collective action we can influence policymakers and demand humane treatment for all, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a protest with signs calling for border reform, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a peaceful march for immigrant rights, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. Education and awareness are equally important, Pause 3S. By informing others about the realities of border policies, we can foster a more compassionate society, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a classroom discussion on immigration, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a documentary screening on border issues, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. The media has a responsibility to highlight stories of resilience and hope, shedding light on the human side of these policies. Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a journalist interviewing a family at the border, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a news segment on family reunification, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. Together we can build bridges instead of walls, Pause 3S. We can create a world where every family has the opportunity to thrive, free from fear and separation. Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a bridge symbolizing connection, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, families celebrating a reunion, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. The path forward is illuminated by hope and driven by our collective will to make a difference. Pause 3S. Let us walk this path together hand in hand towards a brighter, more inclusive future. Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a child holding a sign that reads hope, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a community celebrating at a border crossing, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. The journey ahead may be long, but with determination and unity, we can achieve lasting change. Pause 3S, Pause 3S, image, a mural depicting unity and hope, Pause 3S, Pause 3S, video, a diverse group of people walking towards a common goal, Pause 3S, Pause 3S. Let us take the first step today for a future where every family can live in peace and harmony, Pause 3S. The path forward is ours to create.